What's happening, folks? It's Tim Wood, Bill Bryant, Hector Longo, the newly less haired Hector Longo. What's up with that?
I get a haircut twice a year, Tim.
Is that the deal?
Yeah, very. It's a pet peeve of mine. I hate going to those things. So twice a year, zip, number 2 all around. Let's fresh start for everybody.
All right. Well, it's legit. Just buzz it off.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a shame. The rock star hair you had with the flowing locks. That's a hairdresser's got to hate to cut that. But anyway.
Are you kidding? 15 minutes an hour, quick little tip. It's all good, man. They love seeing me coming. Are you kidding?
Now it's crazy. I have the best hair in the group now.
Yes, absolutely. Tim Wood, Bill Bryant, Hector Longo, Lou Blassie behind the glass. Welcome to the second edition of MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. Huge thank you to the more than 5,500 people that viewed the show last week on Facebook. We were really thrilled with Facebook. Just blown away by Periscope and Twitter, just how many folks saw it on there. We will find more avenues to get it to you. But we appreciate the support out of the gate. So week 2, a very a difficult week in the Valley, and as a result of the real world events going on around the Valley with the gas line surge, or what are they calling it?
It's a surge.
How about disaster? How about that?
The gas line disaster.
Totally sad week.
Absolutely, but I think a lot of folks in the towns that played last night, it's like, just get back to some normalcy. Friday Night Lights at the Methuen Tewksbury game. You had just just one little morsel of just a
community coming together.
Absolutely, a microcosm of the community coming together, and just the outpouring of support and items that folks brought. They filled two vans full of supplies to bring to folks. And
that's not counting the gift cards, the gift certificates, all those other things. And when I got to the stadium to help with the boosters, there was buckets laid down on the ground, and Matt was, people were saying, oh, people haven't brought anything yet, and we had already had a van full of supplies. And then it got almost overwhelming. Too many things are being brought, so a bunch of people at the game had to step up and help and start driving their own vehicles, and just an incredible outpouring, because people are just shocked at what happened and want to help. It's just an amazing, and just the firemen and all the personnel that came together from all over the state and Maine, and just an incredible response to, like you said, a tragedy and a disaster.
Well, these people in the city, I hear on the way in that it's going to be a couple of weeks before they get their power back.
Before they even get their life back and be able to get back into their homes.
This is not to get it political or something or anything, because I believe that they're all to blame. But where is everybody trying to get these people back together? It
is an absolute mess. I mean, if you saw the way that the reaction turned yesterday, and rightfully so. It's a mess in terms of the reaction from the gas company, and it's going to take a lot of sorting out. I think a lot of people are still wondering what the heck happened. That's the first thing you want to get from the folks that have to own it, and they don't know. And when you're talking about gas and not knowing what happened, that is really scary. But we like you said, we don't want to get too far into that, but we did have some football last night. We had a phenomenal game at Nicholson Stadium in Methuen. So Bill and I are from Methuen. We've made this clear. This is a full Merrimack Valley show. We do the show at Costa Eagle Media in Methuen, but it's hard not to root for the Methuen Rangers last night, especially when this gentleman's son is making his first home start as quarterback. So a back and forth game. So Fox 25, the fans voted this to be Fox 25's high school game of the week. They were there, 5 and 6 o'clock newscast, big package at 11. And these teams did not disappoint. This was a phenomenal game, back and forth. Methuen goes up 10-0. Tewksbury answers, comes back ahead 14-10 in the third. Methuen answers again, leads 30-21, about 5.5 minutes to go in the fourth. And Tewksbury struck back on a touchdown drive and then a 32-yard field goal with about 2 minutes left to win the game. Now, and Methuen drove, had a shot at a long field goal. Some costly mistakes by a young Methuen team in terms of sealing the victory. But, boy, now listen, let's start with you, okay? Let's start with you just because your son, first start as quarterback for Methuen. And we said this before. I'm not a suck up, so I'm not just trying to tell you what, as a dad, you need to hear. 10 for 19, really could have been about 16 for 19. There were some drops, but that's okay. That's going to happen. 189 yards passing, 2 touchdowns passing, 8 rushes, 37 yards, 1 rushing touchdown on a phenomenal 9-yard run. Just got popped at about the 6-yard line by a Tewksbury linebacker. Absorbed it and said, "What's up?" and motored in for the next 6 yards.
As the kids would say, he kind of ate it. Kind of ate the hit and went on. I will say this, Tim, for the Fox 25 game, Tewksbury is just such a class town. Coach Elward is just a class guy, all the compliments, just the fans from there. We've been coaching against them in lacrosse, football, basketball. Their fans are classy, the players. It was just a great football game, and Tewksbury didn't blink. They handled the adversity, and they just kept fighting and battling, and they came up and made the final play, which, that's high school football. So as far as Connor, I just, as a dad, I'm super proud as a Methuen resident to see that football team that young with that many inexperienced players to play that type of a game. Second game of the season is impressive. The guy that's been covering football for quite a while. I'd love to hear your opinion.
Well, I'm going to say this first of all. The Fox 25 thing is it's not a coincidence. Okay, Tewksbury Athletic Director Ron Druin is a huge proponent of promoting the kids, and I know Matt Karn is too in Methuen, but Ronnie, he's pushing this thing from the get-go. He knows what's best for the kids. It's best for the kids. It's great for the kids. Yep. And he's been a big proponent of that. They've been in the game a week before. They always win the vote. I don't know how he drags out the vote whenever they're involved.
I'll be honest. Methuen did a pretty good job.
Yeah, right. Look,
collectively, it was
so. That's obvious, Bill. But honest to God, that program, while it's such a small town, numbers-wise, and they'll tell you that. Sorry, Ronnie, that their numbers are down and things like. Football means something in Tewksbury still. Yep. It still really does. Year after year after year. Maybe it's the Aylward tradition going back to his dad, to Brian's dad over the years, and now he's got kids going to the system here. But Tewksbury football has always meant something there, and you see it on Saturday afternoons like nowhere else. Yeah. Over there at Tewksbury, and
they had a great following last night.
Oh yeah, they traveled real well. I mean, and they were loud. They were loud, even though it was a packed house for Methuen. It was equal. I mean, that was one of the largest visitor crowds I've seen, and the student section was absolutely jam packed.
And they were on point. They were chanting. They were appropriately taunting Methuen, their fans, and it was a phenomenal atmosphere. It was last night.
So after a horrible week, it really was a great night of just community. And between all of the donations, and the game itself, you could not have. Now listen. Everybody says the MVC is down this year, and it certainly does appear that way. But in terms of the effort given by both those teams, the execution. I mean, Jay Conley. And by the way, let's set this real quick. We're gonna have head coach Brian Aylward. At 10:15, we're gonna have Jay Conley. We're torturing Bill because we got two Tewksbury guys on to talk about the win over Methuen. Jake Conley's coming on at 10:30, the quarterback for Tewksbury. We're gonna have head coach Chuck Adamopoulos from Central Catholic on. Tough loss for Central last night against St. John's. Close game at the half. St. John's Prep opened it up in the third quarter. They went 31. It was 14-12 at the half. St. John's Prep wins 31-12. We'll have Coach A on to talk about the team in general. Look ahead a little bit to a big game against North Andover next week. And we are working on a last guest potentially. So jam-packed show. In terms of what we thought about what we were going to see from Methuen and what we were going to see from Tewksbury, if you had told me that was going to be a 31-30 game last night, I would have laughed at you. I just did not expect those offenses to be that much on point. Now, again, there was some big secondary lapses that caused Tewksbury guys to be wide open that shouldn't happen, and Coach Tom Ryan was beside himself. But just overall, a back and forth game, just everything you could ask for.
And as far as a coach's perspective, for your defensive backs to make those errors, make those mistakes, those are very coachable. You look at the video, you make your adjustments. So for Methuen to really earn their points and march the ball down the field in a calculated way, a mix-up plays, that's a promising thing for their offense. For Tewksbury, they're just well coached and just have some really skilled players.
Fatal flaw by Methuen. They had the chance in the fourth to put them away, and just didn't.
Third down and 3. They got called for a false start, and that would have iced it. Mm-hmm. That were at least it would have taken probably another 2.5 minutes off the clock. Mm-hmm. Third down and 3, false. They get called for a false start, and then they just couldn't. They couldn't seal it. I mean and again, you know. You talk to Coach Ryan after the game, and he's just, he's thrilled with his kids in terms of the effort. If there's ever going to be a good loss, that's got to be a loss where they build off of instead of letting it ruin the season, because there were a lot of good things to take from that game. But as a young team, you almost have to have one of those games.
Well, you know what's funny about Tommy, too, and obviously you think that game meant something to him last night? The thing about Tommy is, I get to know him when he was a coordinator for Brian over at Tewksbury. And I immediately thought to myself, got to be a lifelong Tewksbury guy. He immersed himself in the Tewksbury program. He's from, I think, Medford or Mullen or one of those cities down there. So that's what he does, and so he's brought that kind of mentality of immersing himself into the football program. You see it with the Methuen kids, and that's a direct emanation from the coach. So yes, this one hurts, but again, this is the new era in Massachusetts high school football. The new playoff system. One loss does not do you in by any stretch of the imagination.
Especially a loss like that. That's two great teams battling.
Old goats like you and I don't mean goat like the Brady kind of goat. I just mean old Bill.
The Billy Goats.
Yes. Guys like us, we remember the days where one loss and your season was over in Massachusetts high school football if you were, a really good team. And all you had to look forward to was Thanksgiving. So Methuen, again, a team that will be like a lot of these teams in the Valley. I'll put Central Catholic in that boat. I might even put Lowell in that boat. Heck, I might even put both Lawrence and Tewksbury in that boat. They're going to be better come late October with a chance to make some noise playoff-wise in November.
This is a season where you got a lot of youth, a lot of inexperience, and you're gonna see it build. You're gonna see teams grow into their talent, or teams that just start middling. And it's gonna take a while for this full picture to develop. Tewksbury obviously off to a 2-0 start, but they got a lot of 1-on-1s right now, and a lot of questions in terms of how things will play out. Now, we also had Haverhill 29, Chelmsford 7 last night. Great effort by the Hillies in terms just on both sides of the ball. Dominated Chelmsford. The offensive line dominated Chelmsford. They held them to 10 total yards of offense in the first half. Negative 11 yards rushing for the entire game. And then the offensive line for Haverhill was just was incredible. They put it together to lead to create holes all over the place. 152 first half rushing yards for Haverhill, 239 for the game. So a big effort by Haverhill.
And I always love the shout out to the offensive lineman, Joe Santero, with an interception as a linebacker. Love to see the linemen get their just due and get the, like Sammy Ferrula last night, fumble in the end zone. Number 75 was a dirt dog all game, both sides of the ball, picked up a TD as well. So you love to see that. Yes,
and folks I talked to after the game said that just Santoro was just an absolute beast last night. So 29-7 Haverhill gets to 1-1. Chelmsford goes to 0-2. Again, you're going to see the scores on the screen. Huge shout out to Chris Khaleesi for creating our scoreboards. We had because of the disaster, the tragedy last week, we had 2 games postponed. Drake at Lawrence postponed.
Bill
Ricca Andover postponed. North Andover and Lowell will play today at 1 p.m. So today
being Saturday, Tim, let's let everybody know that.
Yes, thank you very much, Hector. Yes, today being Saturday, if you're watching this on demand, so Saturday game for those two.
Old school Saturday game, right? Out of that, right? The way the things used to be.
Yeah, no lights. So we're waiting for Coach Brian from Tewksbury. Number to call in, Coach 978-659-0072. In terms of what this does in your view of these teams, Hector, anything change for you just in the results that you saw last night?
I think if we can drag something out of Friday night, it kind of solidifies the fact that large division is not anybody's ball game. That large, I think we see what Central Catholic is. They're not some juggernaut that rolled over Dartmouth in week 1. They battled with St. John's Prep. They had the lead early, but honestly, this is a Central team that is young like everybody else.
Right.
So that makes the whole large division a heck of a lot more fun, for the next 2 months as these teams start to play the divisional games. I think, every week is going to matter. I think that's what, if we can drag something out, every week is going to matter from now on, once we get the first couple preliminary games out of the way. And I think we see that. You see Central Catholic kind of taking its lumps and on a back pedal yesterday against the St. John's team that I think a lot of people think is good, but may not be one of those elite St. John's Prep teams. So you called it down earlier, Tim. I don't know if I'm going to agree with that. I don't know if the MVC is down. I just think that
this is reloading.
I used the word parity last week. I'm sticking with that.
I think the anomaly from last year was a lot of teams had a ton of seniors.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily down. It's more unknown.
Yeah.
It's more you have a bunch of juniors and seniors across the league that have very limited playing time.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of teams are scratching their head to who's going to be the newcomer, who's going to be the kids that step up. So for me, for Methuen, it was a lot of kids that came into that game were boys.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to handle the adversity and step up and be a man? For the Tewksbury team, you just got a whole big lot of confidence, from that win because you battled all the way through the game.
If you're watching live here on this Saturday morning, we appreciate it. Let us know in the comments. Show some love for your teams. Hit us with any questions or comments or shout outs to your team's players. We will take a quick break here, come back with some love for a new sponsor, and get to our guests as we roll on here in week 2 in the MVC. You're listening to MVC Gridiron Weekly, watching, presented by Davila and Davusco Insurance. We will be right back.
Social media, and all marketing roads lead through social media. If you want to make a splash here in the Merrimack Valley, you need to tap in. This is where the new CEM podcast studios come in. Of course, you can spend your time, energy, and money learning how to wrangle technology to make a podcast instead of running your business. Or you can invest in telling everyone in the Merrimack Valley, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, the Seacoast, or everywhere in the world about your great business, product, service, or yourself. The CEM Podcast Studio is a local audio and video studio dedicated to the craft of podcasts. Their studios feature state-of-the-art state-of-the-art recording and mixing equipment designed specifically to produce the best audio and video podcast. Best of all you need to worry about is your show, your business, and your brand. We do the rest. Call 978-686-9966. That's 978-686-9966 to schedule a no-obligation tour of the CEM facilities and meet with a podcast specialist. Or go to CEMpodcast.com to find out more about podcasting services. CEMpodcast.com, your window to the world.
I love talking about my man, Val Davila. It's a dream to own your own business, and Val and Susan Davila made that a reality in February 2013. They started with just 2 insurance carriers, but now right-in-place insurance for Progressive, Safeco, Pilgrim, Plymouth Rock, and Mapfre, just to name a few. Need auto insurance, renters, commercial, or home? Davila and DeFusco prides itself in having lifelong roots in the Merrimack Valley. Put their experience to work for you. Visit them at 225 Broadway or call 978-241-7950 for a free quote, or visit them online at daviladefusco.com. Back on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. Hey, huge shout out to a new sponsor, Jen Hamilton, huge community backer, realtor Jen Hamilton. Listen, it's the autumn market is in full swing. You got to be ready to find out what your home is worth and what you need to do to prepare your home for sale. If you're thinking of selling, now is the time. Inventory is in an all-time low, making this a seller's market. And if you in a seller's market, there's a greater chance for a bidding war on your home. So let Jen put her 33-plus years of experience to work for you today. Call her for a free, no-obligation market analysis of your home, market analysis of homes you're looking to buy. 508-954-7951 is the number to call. Jen Hamilton. She's licensed in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, a part of the Keller Williams Realty team. 508-954-7951. Check her out at jenhamilton.com. Email her at jennifer.bauer9@comcast.net. Huge thank you to Jen Hamilton for being part of the show. If you want to get in on sponsoring the show, we would love to have you. Call me at 978-683-0800. Tim at loopweekly.com. We will get you in, just like we're proud to have Jen Hamilton as part of the show. Hamilton. The word means a house is sold. Jen Hamilton, realtor. All right.
And more importantly, though, Tewksbury, Barica, Dracut, all these other towns, you know, if you have a sponsor from one of those cities or towns, get them on, because we're going to be highlighting each of those cities. And as your team does well and your coach and your players on here, we'd love to hear from those restaurants and businesses from these different towns that are on the show.
Couldn't have said it better. And quite honestly, restaurants especially, we want to get out to the community. We would love to host the show at your restaurant around the community, whether it's, like you said, whether it's Haverhill, Tewksbury, Billerica. We will travel, and we will promote the heck out of your restaurant.
A good example is Patty's Ale in Dracut. Every year we have a relationship when we're away in Dracut. I bring a bunch of people to Methuen. We sell tickets at Patty's Ale in Dracut. We have a nice brunch and, you know, just some early morning coffee and other drinks, and go enjoy a football game. So Patty's Ale is one that I'm reaching out to see. Let's get them on board and get out to Dracut for one of their games.
Absolutely. Lou, as much as I love you, we would love to be out of the studio. Three guys who probably don't need any more food in front of them. But
I was going to say, restaurants in this trio, I don't know if that's a perfect match.
We just had an awesome breakfast at Al's Diner right next door, one of our sponsors from Ranger Nation Radio, and it's great to get out and put some good food in your belly.
Yeah, and Hector's like, oh, you did, huh?
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
I was bringing my lawn clippings to the compost pile and everyone.
Well, it was dad time before the show.
Yeah,
so.
the dad decompress time. All right, Lou, we got somebody on the line?
No, we don't.
Oh.
I left a message for Brian.
Still working it with Coach Aylward. Jake Connolly expected at 10:30. So let's talk a little bit in terms of star performers for the week.
Okay, but before we do that,
Yeah.
I brought it up to Bill on the break, and I'll throw this out to both of you guys. Ricky Brutus had such a big week in week 1. I see 7 carries last night. What did Tewksbury do to kind of shut him down?
They just bottled up the line. They bottled up the holes from the get go. And you can speak to it as well for sure.
Yeah, their front 5, 6, that were there were just they were smaller. So going into the game, you thought, okay, Lawrence is going to be. Methuen's going to be able to push them around. They were just so quick and so fast that every time there was a hole ready for Ricky that he thought he was going to be able to get in there, they were on him, and they're so well coached. There was no missed tackles.
Now, the one time they solved it, it was a screen pass, and it was beautifully laid out. But it was a lot of incredible foot. It was a Sports Center. I think Kyle Goddard said it in the Eagle Tribune this morning. It was a Sports Center type play. He took the screen pass. Cut from left to right. Just gorgeous moves to break tackle after tackle, and then gorgeous in terms of the blocking.
Ton of blocking
just to
downfield.
see this play set up, it was a thing of beauty to just see it come. We were on the Methuen sideline at that point, and just to see the play coming at you could see it develop. And it's like one of those plays where. They talk about every guy doing their job in football. That was just an absolute perfect example of it. If you ever want to pull tape to make your case on that,
Don't
quit on a play. Every guy did their job, and Brutus breaks off, 34 yard, I think.
Yeah. It's funny because our guys at Masconomet played MC Friday night, and they beat MC too, but. I saw the Masco coach, Gavin Monaco, in school one day, and first thing on his mouth is, "Who was the Methuen kid?" Because he watched the game on film, and obviously it was Ricky who had such a big day against them. He is going to be kind of has the potential to be a game changer down the line.
Oh yeah, they're going to continue to develop plays for him, and I think once again, Elwood's been coaching for 22 years. He saw that film,
sure,
and they definitely had a game plan for him. So other people had to step up. But you're absolutely right. Ricky's he's a phenomenal athlete.
I guess I would probably turn it the other way around too. Though I guess I was surprised to see the Tewksbury guys as wide open as they were, in terms of just like if you're game planning for them, you know Connolly's got an arm, they're gonna take some shots deep, and they were there for the taking last night.
Well, once again though, you have all new linebackers, all new defensive backs, communication, depending on coverage and things like that. That's where coaching now has to come in and make some adjustments and either protect your guys deep or continue to coach them up and get them communicating better. But you're absolutely right. That was definitely the hole in the defense as far as getting the points on the board for Tewksbury.
And I know we're supposed to talk to the guy coming up, and I don't want to say too much about him, but Jay's experience at quarterback and knowing what he sees out there, There are open guys on every play, Tim, in high school especially. Yeah. Can you find them? Do you have the quarterback to find them?
Or do you know to look in those locations?
Right. Where do you look? Guys, we've had guys in this area, prove it over the years. Obviously, a guy like E.J. Perry, who always found the right guy at Andover, and Brett Edwards last year at Central Catholic, the last 3 years at Central Catholic, was a guy who always found it. I go back, we go back in Methuen. You can think of some of the great quarterbacks Methuen's had over the years. So having that experienced quarterback is one step ahead. Now, your son has obviously Connor's played football and he knows what to look for, but
not at that level.
There's no substitute for the speed of varsity football.
Absolutely.
I think maybe that might be the biggest jump in high school sports, in any sport. It's not high school baseball, JV to varsity. It's JV to varsity in football. The difference in speed is amazing.
It's a cliche in terms they talk about the game getting fast, but it truly does.
No, the game gets faster.
Yeah.
I just think it's the biggest jump. Even basketball.
I'd say basketball's go see a JV game, and it's kind of painful at times. And then you go to a varsity game, it's 100 times faster.
Yeah, but I think football is even deeper than that.
Absolutely.
It's and it's even accentuated in football more because there are injuries in football. And those kids have to make that jump a lot of the time. A kid who's some nondescript sophomore in September who nobody knows about is suddenly cast into a playoff race,
a pivotal position
in November, and he has to make that jump. It's pretty tough.
We expected it from Connolly because he's proven it. Hit Shane Aylward for 5 catches, 170 yards, two touchdowns. They've been playing together since 5th grade, so a strong connection there. I was, and again, not just because he's sitting here, but I think a lot of the Methuen crowd was even taken aback. Especially like you said, after the week that Brutus had in week 1, you're thinking, okay, we got a nice replacement for Peter Kwaki here, but Connor Bryant, the way that they open up the passing game, and like you said, Hector, you got to have a guy who can find the guys that are open, and Connor just showed accuracy. He threw a couple of deep ball, one for a touchdown, another one that was. It was a drop, but they ended up scoring on the Brutus play. That one was a 45-yard throw from. He just made the plays all over the field. That again, if you're ever going to take encouragement from a loss, that was crazy. Tewksbury got it done, and we have on the line with us the head coach from Tewksbury, Coach Brian Allwood. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, pleasure to have you on. It's Tim Wood. I've got Hector Longo, and I've got Bill Bryant here with me. Coach, you've had a little bit to sleep on it now. I'm sure you're probably already looking at tape for next week. But what did you take away from that win last night?
First of all, I apologize for being a little bit late here.
No problem.
I appreciate you guys doing what you're doing, promoting high school football, and if last night wasn't like testament that there's some good stuff going on. I don't know what is. That was a tremendous game, and we're dusting ourselves off and getting ready for the next one. But it was a tremendous win for those kids, and they worked really hard, and I'm proud of them.
Yeah, you had to be especially impressed the way they fought back a couple times down 10 points early in the game, and then
9 later,
5 minutes to go in the game, fighting back the way they did.
Yeah, you know what? We were fortunate that it was only 10 points. To be honest, at that point. Methuen came out strong, and some of our early nerves, get the best of us, and we have a lot of kids that, are kind of new to it at this level, and it's a big question mark on how they're going to react when they get into tough situations, and I think they grew up last night, but I also think those kids on the Methuen side, I think they grew up, so. I don't think that the results of last night's game are going to hurt either team. I think that it's just going to make them ready for, when they get into those tough situations down the road.
Coach, I heard you say to the reporters after the game last night, when's the last time you ever saw a field goal win a game for Tewksbury? But Tyler Keogh just knocked it through for you guys.
Okay, kicking and Tewksbury usually don't go together because, so, we have to go back. My best bet, and I grew up with it with my dad coaching years ago. I want to go back to, and I could be wrong, so it's, I want to go back to like 1976 or 77. Charlie Santos kicked a game-winning field goal against Andover at Tewksbury. And then my son, my youngest guy, 12 years old, Braden, on the bus, he corrected me and he said, "Hey, Tewksbury won a game on a field goal in 1985 to get you guys to the Super Bowl. It was David French." And I said, and he's right. That's the last time we won by a kick, but that was an extra point. So good for Frenchie, my good friend. But I want to say it goes all the way back to the 1970s. So I don't know.
Brian, the Valley's a small place. The kids all know each other when they compete against each other. How did the stuff that happened in Lawrence, North Andover, did it affect you guys this week?
Well, heck, it's good to hear your voice. You have a very distinguished voice. I would say that even if you don't live there, or I think it's so close that people have, they're connected to people that are in those kind of situations. So, that was just a crazy scene. I think of my neighbor who is a firefighter in Lawrence, and
scary stuff.
Those guys are doing a good job,
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, do you still get? Is it a bigger deal?
Dave Fleming. He's a firefighter. He's my neighbor. He's a great guy. He's done a good job over there for years.
Brian? Do you still get? Is it still a big deal with Tommy across the way? Obviously, he was on your staff, key part of your staff for a while. Do you still? Is it still a big deal?
You know what? I hate playing him. He's such a good friend. He's a good, loyal guy with me. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him and what he's tried to do over there. He's got it going on. I would just assume not have to play him. I'd rather share with him and, support him in whatever way I can. He's a good friend. We spend a lot of time together outside of, but I think if we didn't play each other, we'd probably, that's how weird I am. We probably would spend more time together, So.
Coach, this is Bill Bryant. I'm going to double down on that question. With Ronnie Druin, old Lawrence guy, Matt Curran worked in the Lawrence schools, Methuen guy, Tewksbury and Methuen sharing a hockey team, a swimming team. The thing that I love about watching Methuen and Tewksbury play is just the class between the fans, the student athletes. There's competition and all that, but there's actually a community between these two schools that, they shared the girls' hockey championship game last year at the Garden, and they were together and unified and supporting. When last night they were out, competing against each other. Has that added some to the game as well, besides you and Coach Ryan going back so far?
All right, I'll add that to the reasons why we shouldn't play football in a game. But because it has been great. I've enjoyed working with. Now those kids are. We do that transition Merrimack Valley Conference transition camp in the summertime, and I really enjoy seeing those kids. And you could see that they have guys, and they're going to be very good for however long Tommy continues to do what he's doing. And how about that quarterback over there? He cut his teeth in a major way, and he can do some things.
That's my second question. That's my son, so I get the knock because I have a kid on the team and I'm in the show. But after the game, seeing you go up to him, knowing you've been coaching for so long, your reputation, how great you are as a coach, and just knowing your stuff, as a dad, it was pretty cool seeing you talk to Connor last night and giving him some words. Not asking what you said, that's between you and him, but as a dad, to see an opposing coach talk to a player, that's something special.
Well, you know what? I just, I told him basically what I told our kids, that all right, everybody's 0-0. Nobody's got to win in the conference. They want to go win a championship, and it starts now. So you've put yourself in position to get it done, and he was tremendous last night. He did some things that were beyond anything that I've seen him do. So that you got to be a proud dad, and a
big part of that was you and Coach Ryan's transition camp. That was his first introduction to high school ball. You guys do an awesome transition camp each summer for 8th and 9th graders, and that's something that I hope to continue it continues to grow, because that's a great introduction to high school football.
Awesome. Yeah, we should do a commercial, promote that in the MVC. You guys doing good. So we'd like to get guys there. You know what? That is so genuine in that, you get kids in 8th and 9th grade. They're like they're in no man's land at that age. They're too old for the youth camps. They're too young to really get anything productive in the prospect camps. That's kind of why we put it together. So that's been a good thing, and I've enjoyed it. So.
And when we're talking about sons here, Coach, your son Shane kind of had a decent game last night too. 5 catches, 170 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
I drafted him in fantasy this week, Brian.
Our high school daily fantasy league.
I didn't know that existed, but you know what? I'll tell you.
On the down
low. I'm proud of the kid that he is. It's hard to be a good kid in today's day and age, and he does a lot of things the right way. And I can't tell you. I don't know of any kid that's caught more balls, than he has in my front yard. From the time he was little, he never catches a ball standing still. He's always wants to catch it running this way or running that way, and he doesn't have a lot of. You got to pack on some meat on those bones, but he's a good kid. He works hard and he cares about his teammates and cares about representing his community, and I'm very proud of him.
Represented on the field, represented really well just in terms of what I was watching, Coach, with Fox 25 and the interviews afterwards. So really impressive game, Coach. 31-30, Tewksbury over Methuen. You got Boston College next week at BC, so a little break from the conference, but no break in terms of talent.
Yeah, there was the nature of the beast with this new setup is that you got to fill in these games that you have non-conference weeks, so that's why we're playing them. And I don't know. I think they're high school kids, just like the kids at Tewksbury, just like the kids at Methuen. They're a little bit bigger and whatever, but they'll take a run at them.
Good test for sure. Coach Brian Elwood, a huge appreciation for coming on with us this morning. Your quarterback, I think, is waiting for chain of command here. I told him to call after Coach gets done, so we'll let you go, get your quarterback on, and huge thanks. Hope to talk to you down the road.
He's done so good for us. I'm so proud of Jay. We put a lot on his shoulders, and we have for 2 years now, so he's a great kid, and he did a great job last night. All right, and I thank you guys for doing what you're doing.
Awesome, Brian.
Absolutely. Spread the word for us over there, will you?
Congrats, Coach.
I will.
All right, awesome. Awesome, Coach. Right. Thanks again for calling in.
All right, thanks a lot. Take care.
You too. All right, that's Coach Brian Elwood from Tewksbury. The family goes back generations, but I mean, that's one of those games that I think even haven't seen as much football as he's seen that he's going to remember.
Well, it's funny. You think of the two ways that things can often get looked at. From this side of the equation, I'm seeing the fact that they haven't had great kickers over the years, as the fact that they've always had amazing 2-point plays over the years. Coach doesn't mention that. He mentions the fact that they probably could use a kicker here and there. But, man, they had so many intricate 2-point plays, you often thought they're just doing it because they know they can score, So it's interesting how that can be looked at. He talks about Tewksbury and kickers.
So I think, so we've got, we're going to transition. We will. I'm going to text Jay here real quick. We will let. We're going to transition. We've got Coach Chuck Adamopoulos from Central Catholic on the line. Coach, how are you? Tim Wood. Bill Bryant.
I did better, but do you guys have guests on that win the night before? I know you had Timmy O'Connor on last week, and now I'm on this week. So Is this like a curse thing that if you agree to be on the show, you're going to lose the night before?
we turned him around though, right? We got him a W. We got him a W this week. He came on.
We coached him up on the show a little bit.
He took the bitter, he took the bitter pill, and then bingo, he wins on Friday night. So there you go, Jack.
So, Coach, I'm Tim Wood. We've got Bill Bryant, and you of course know Hector Longo.
Yeah.
Huge thank you for joining us here on MVC Gridiron Weekly. And especially, I know a lot. I've done radio TV for a long time, and 3 out of 4 times if you've scheduled a coach or a player and there's a loss, they cancel. So a huge appreciation. Hector said no, he's coming on no matter what, and so we appreciate it.
Am I overrating a character, Chuck?
No, that's only because Hector occasionally sits near me at the racetrack.
Hey, my wife might be watching me.
Oh, no! You better be able to bounce back from losses. You're going to be in big trouble.
Coach, if you go back to watch this on Facebook or whatnot, if you could see the look on Hector's face when you said racetrack, you just let the cat out of the bag with his wife.
I did notice on your show last week you kept referring to him as a Hall of Famer. I know he's not in the handicapping Hall of Fame. I know that.
Chuck, honest to God, he hasn't used it once, but if he did, I was going to bring it up that Hall of Fame just means I'm too damn old. So we have to change that. Call me anything else, but don't call me old. Coach, what happened last night? You guys had the lead early, and things kind of fell apart a little bit.
They're a very good team, and we did some good things in the first half, and we had the lead a couple different times. Actually, it was a scoreless game after the first quarter, and we were up 6-0. We had a nice run from A.J. Caginelli for a touchdown. And then we stopped them and had the ball at midfield with a lot of momentum and good field position, and we fumbled. And they, like they did against Haverhill, we turned the ball over 3 times last night. And they made us pay every time, and they drove down and scored, but we responded well. Joey House had a nice run for a touchdown. We had the lead back 12-7. And we gave a score up before the end of the half, but we went in at halftime down 2, but we had played a solid half. And we took the opening drive in the third quarter and got into their territory, and they stopped us about their 40 on 4th down, and they kind of chewed us up in the second half. They wore us down. They're a very big physical offensive line and athletic offensive line. I was very impressed with their line play, and they do a good job running the ball, and their quarterback is solid. And we got stopped the second time. We kind of gambled near midfield, down 21-12, and went for it on 4th down. It was kind of we could punt, and I guess if you punt at that point, you're kind of playing just to keep the game close, and we're trying to win the game, and we went for it on 4th down and didn't get it, and they kind of had a short field, and that was it. They wore us down. We did some good things, like you said. We turned the ball over 3 times, and made some mental mistakes that you're not going to get away with against a team like that we played.
Chuck,
the kids did some good things that we can build on. We had a couple of tough injuries that, we have to have some guys step up. But they're a very good football team, and we're not where they're at right now at this point of the season.
Chuck, when you look at your roster and you see all the guys you lost a year ago, all the guys you lost to graduation, how important is it now for guys like Mike Lefebvre and Hausch and guys who've been there for you, to kind of keep things together early while the younger kids learn?
No, the senior leadership's important. We only have 3 returning starters back, and but where we don't have any starters back is in the line, and we're very young in the line, and what's hard is the guys that are returning leaders don't play in the line though, and I need some guys to step up in the line and kind of be leaders of that group, and that's the group that's going to take the most development, and for us to be successful, they're going to have to come along. And they went against a very tough group last night, and we probably get outplayed. We did get outplayed in the line last night, but it's something I think we're going to improve on as the season goes on.
you want to talk about your next week's opponent, Coach, now that the game's beyond you, and what are you looking for next week?
I really haven't got a chance to get a good look at them yet. I'm going to go watch them today against Lowell, but North Andover is a very good team and with a lot of good skilled kids, a lot of speed. They had an opening in the schedule. They called us to play, which tells you something because we don't get too many teams to call us up to play, and they did. So I said to them right away. They said, "All right, these guys got some. They must have some guys back to call us to play." And I didn't see the Woburn game. Tomorrow I will on film, but I know Woburn thinks they're going to have a solid team, and they were up 35-0 on Woburn in the first half last week. So, they're good, and I have a lot of respect for John and his staff, and I know they do a good job. And they have a classic, three-sport athlete at quarterback who is a very good athlete, and so they're going to be a tough bounce-back game after playing the prep.
Coach, we know about Caginelli. We know about a couple guys that Hector mentioned. Can you just give a little shout out to some unsung heroes that are stepping it up so far for you guys?
Yeah, a guy that was steady last year as a two-way starter as a junior is Cam Bowes, who plays tight end and outside linebacker, and he's a solid player that always does his thing, and he's a rugged kid, and he plays aggressively, but he's very athletic. He's a good receiver, tight end. He's a good blocker, and a good linebacker. He's been one of our solid kids. And while we did throw 2 picks last night, I thought Jared Silverio did a lot of good things last night because he was getting pressured. But I think he's developing well. It's not perfect yet, and he made a few mistakes last night. But I also thought he did some good things last night, too, at quarterback. So he's doing a good job. We've got a kid named Lewy Baez, an inside linebacker who's a very physical kid and very aggressive and a good tackler. He did well, and our other inside linebacker, Mark Kazis, played well last night, too. We graduated, we're 3-4 defense, and we graduated 6 out of our 7 starters on the front 7. And so including, both inside linebackers are gone from last year's team. So those 2 kids have stepped up and done a nice job for us.
I mean, Hector said it earlier, Coach. I mean, this is you got a lot of developing going on with a lot of these teams out of the gate here, and I mean this MVC is really going to play out more so in the later weeks than maybe we've seen before in terms of folks taking dominant hold of the playoff picture.
Yeah, and it's funny in the large school this year. I think most of the teams are playing a decent amount of young guys, or if not young guys, seniors that didn't start last year, and it's the small school division. I think that's got a lot more returning starters in it, and which is usually which is unusual for the large school to be like that. So it's interesting. I really think the large school division is up for grabs, with anybody, and it's going to be interesting how everyone develops and comes along. And there's going to be some interesting games coming up over the next 4 or 5 weeks.
All right, Coach. Well, that's good with me. How'd your week go? Obviously, you were in the center of a lot of things there. What was
It's really crazy. Trying to get around the city, just trying to get to St. John's Prep last night, trying to figure out what's the route to take. I got to be patient because there's kids that are scrambling to try to get to school. There's more kids than you realize that are evacuated. I had one of my sophomores, I see him on a cell phone after the game, and that's not a typical thing that one of our players does after a game, get on a cell phone. And I kind of barked him a little bit. He said, Coach, we're staying at a hotel in Westford. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm getting home. It's okay. Stay on the phone. And
that's a good excuse.
Thing. So there's it's crazy. And then you hear stories today that this could go on for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's what we were saying,
really not sure of when this is going to be remedied. So it's something I've taught in Lawrence for 35 years. I've never seen anything like this as far as just unusual circumstances and what people are going through.
Is there any word yet, Coach, in terms of going back to school? I mean, like you said, we don't know how long this is going to play out, but...
Yeah, it's I have a feeling we might be in school on Monday. They haven't said yet. North Lawrence has electricity, and we're in North Lawrence. But like I said, just to get around and to get the spots in the city, it's not easy. And on a good day, Lawrence isn't the easiest city to drive around. There's a lot of people in a very small, square mile area, and so I'm not sure. And I'm not sure with North Andover and Andover and all that of when they're all going back. But they haven't even. I don't think we've decided yet if we're going back to school on Monday.
Coach, I got a question for you. You may not be able to answer, and I apologize, but we have 2 games that are postponed, and I know for the Lowell game today that is on that was moved. Have you ever had a situation where a game was postponed like this without a date? I remember when the Lawrence Stadium had its issue, and you guys got displaced in Lawrence. We kind of moved games around and went to different fields. But any insight on what those 2 games are going to do and when they're going to play them?
Well, I don't know if Andover Lowell is playing today.
Yeah.
Right. So now you have Lawrence and Andover. Both their games on the schedule are postponed without an answer.
Oh, they haven't?
Yeah, Drake and Lawrence postponed, and Andover, Bill Ricca both postponed. So it's like, are they going to play 2 games in a week or what?
Oh, see, I didn't even realize that. I assumed that they were playing today. So
They could, but there's been no notice, no posting or anything like that on the status of those games.
Wow, I really don't know.
It's a crazy situation, awful situation, and but as we said, it's in these situations you see how the community comes together. You see how the rivalries melt away, and we're all just one big valley supporting each other in these situations. I'm sure you're seeing it out there.
No, it's true, and as I always say. While there's rivalries, on game day, everyone's from the same area, and then when they get out of high school, like my son Zach, who coaches with me, like most has-been athletes, played slow pitch softball in Lawrence, and the team was made up of half guys who played at Methuen High and half guys who played at Central Catholic. So eventually, everyone comes together at some point, and in a situation like this, people rally and do the right thing, and that part is a good thing to see when people do come together in that situation.
Coach Chuck Adamopoulos, huge appreciation for you coming on to week 2 here of MVC Gridiron Weekly.
I think it's awesome you guys are doing this, and it's kind of, Frank Benjamin passed away in the past year, and he did a great job with CCM with the Saturday morning radio shows, and I used to love putting it on, and I thought it was cool going on his show. As a younger coach, and you guys doing this on a Saturday kind of stirs up the memory of that thing, because I thought that was a cool thing for the local area, and I think it's great that you guys are doing this. Yeah,
we're trying to kind of carry that on, spread the word, and really promote the MVC, and kind of doing it on a different platform here, using Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Instagram. So please help spread the word for us.
And as you can see by the last 2 weeks of stats, these kids deserve it. They deserve being recognized, talked about on as many forums as possible. Sorry, Hector.
Chuck, I may see you someday.
Not at the track.
Not until the Friday after Thanksgiving. Until then. All right. Thank you guys for having me on.
Right back at you. Thanks, Coach. This is Coach Chuck Adamopoulos, Central Catholic. Central Catholic's got North Andover next week as they get into the meat of their MVC schedule.
I got a question. We would not have known that North Andover reached out to Central to ask for a game with the opening. That's why when he said that, I'm like, that was the first thing that came to my mind about how cool this show is, that you're going to get some insight that is, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, and we would be remiss to note that, Central's been in the city for a million years. They stepped right up and were a shelter.
Oh, yeah.
And immediately.
Yep.
Obviously, that was going to happen just because that's what Central does.
Yes.
So just wanted to bring that up. Must have been a crazy thing, though. You're out on the practice field that day, on Thursday, and all of a sudden you're hearing sirens and stuff. I know.
You're hearing sirens, and then all of a sudden now you got helicopters over with all the TV cameras.
And I know my wife was at Lawrence High at the time, and they brought the kids out to a baseball field, and they kind of just stood there for a while, and that it had to be gut wrenching just to see what's there going on.
You know, I don't like to bring it up a lot, but you know, I was in New York City on 9/11. I was driving in, and you know, a similar situation. We didn't know what was going on. We got right to the Lincoln Tunnel, and all of a sudden you're looking and you just don't know what to make of it. But then, you know, just like you saw in New York and around the country with 9/11, it just melts away any of the animosities, any of the just the pettiness, or the big picture comes into view very quick in these situations, and you see the best of people.
And let's hope we get some normalcy back, because that Central Catholic North Andover game next week,
It's going to be crazy.
looks to be dynamite.
Legit. All right. Well, let's take a quick break here. We're gonna go a little overtime today. Got a couple more guests on the hook here. We will be right back here with you on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. I love talking about my man Val Davila. It's a dream to own your own business, and Val and Susan Davila made that a reality in February 2013. They started with just 2 insurance carriers, but now right-in-place insurance for Progressive, Safeco, Pilgrim, Plymouth Rock, and Mapfre, just to name a few. Need auto insurance, renters, commercial, or home? Davila and DeFusco prides itself in having lifelong roots in the Merrimack Valley. Put their experience to work for you. Visit them at 225 Broadway or call 978-241-7950 for a free quote, or visit them online at daviladefusco.com.
Everyone is cashing in on social media, and all marketing roads lead through social media. If you want to make a splash here in the Merrimack Valley, you need to tap in. This is where the new CEM podcast studios come in. Of course, you can spend your time, energy, and money learning how to wrangle technology to make a podcast instead of running your business. Or you can invest in telling everyone in the Merrimack Valley, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, the Seacoast, or everywhere in the world about your great business, product, service, or yourself. The CEM Podcast Studio is a local audio and video studio dedicated to the craft of podcasts. Their studios feature state-of-the-art recording and mixing equipment designed specifically to produce the best audio and video podcast. Best of all you need to worry about is your show, your business, and your brand. We do the rest. Call 978-686-9966. That's 978-686-9966 to schedule a no-obligation tour of the CEM facilities and meet with a podcast specialist. Or go to CEMpodcast.com to find out more about podcasting services. CEMpodcast.com, your window to the world.
I promise, Hector, next week we're bringing legit music. You know, we'll try not to go more than 30 seconds so we don't get any violations from YouTube or Facebook.
Facebook doesn't like that.
No, but yes, your suggestions were well taken. Little Mary J, little 50 Cent, I liked it.
It's just always been a dream of mine that I was on a talk show with Mary J with the bumper, so I'm just
We can do that.
Talking about dreams, I mean, did you see the viral video, lady at Mary Halsey?
No.
That she did a Missy Elliott song. She's done karaoke with this song forever.
At a cookout or something.
At a cookout, she does it at a cookout down south, Rhode Island, and she was on the Ellen show because this video went viral because she's probably 50s, 55, and she just nailed this Missy Elliott song, and she's on Ellen on Thursday, and Missy Elliott came out and did the song with her.
Gosh.
Holy, I mean, talk about crazy.
If you haven't seen it, he's not doing it any justice.
No, you really are.
You can't describe it.
Yeah.
It's just someone singing that song that has no business or doesn't look like.
She's got this weird horn thing that she's holding as she's doing it. There's like cookout people dancing. It's Mary Halsey. Google it. Halsey, and you will be blown away.
I'm shocked you guys watch Ellen. Oh my!
Oh no, I didn't claim that. No, I saw this on the video. Tim's all over Ellen. That's all on him.
I'm an Ellen fan. Sorry, I like a little happy in my day. So we are speaking of celebrities. We're we're pulling a Jimmy Kimmel, Matt Damon thing on Jay Connolly. Donna, Jay is going to be on 11:15. We told him to Raz's coach. Coach backed up the schedule a little bit here. We've got one line to call in, and
it's burning up.
It's burning up. David Carrero from Haverhill jumped in right after Coach A, and so we've got David coming up, and then I promise you, Jay Connolly coming up at 11:15. So
there's a potential grandma checking that out.
We got Mary, Donna. They're coming. I promise you.
Well, let's get to David then.
David, absolutely. David Carrero on the line from Haverhill. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Very good. A huge appreciation for you coming on to our second week here on MVC Gridiron Weekly. Congratulations on the 29-7 win last night over Chelmsford.
Thank you.
I mean, you had a big game on both sides of the ball. It's 87 yards running, 3 touchdowns on the offense, 4 tackles on defense. Tell us a little bit. I mean, you guys were monsters on both lines here in this game. Tell us a little bit how this game played out.
It played out exactly how our coaches coached us up to play. I mean, all our coaches were stressing pad level for the line, and our line performed outstanding. They got their pads low, which just allowed everyone else's job to be a ton easier.
In terms of, tell us a little bit what you saw from your teammates. I mean, it's one thing to coach you up, but it's another thing to execute that. Just talk a little bit about some of your teammates in terms of that execution.
Yeah, definitely. Joe Santoro had a huge pick and returned it, which set us up for great field position. I mean, he played his zone perfectly and made the play. And everyone on defense was just balling out. I mean, I don't even think they got a first down until after the second half. So everyone on defense was just executing their job perfect.
And it's got to be amazing in terms of seeing what that offensive line did for you in the first half. Seeing some holes you probably just dream of, right?
Yeah, I mean, when the offensive line opens up holes like that, I mean, it's kind of hard for you to go wrong, honestly.
Hey, David, to put it mildly, guys struggled last year. Winning and losing can be contagious. So you come in, you drop the opener. How do you as a senior say, nah, that's not happening this year. We're a good football team. We're going to bounce back and put it together in a week like this?
Yeah, especially against the St. John's. I was actually injured that game, so I wasn't able to play. So just watching the team like that fall apart that first week. The second week, we had to make sure we were all juiced up and ready to win and make sure it wasn't a repeat of last year, and that's what we did yesterday.
You feel like this bench can really do some damage here, especially in the league when you start playing in the MVC Lodge?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we're a special group, and when we're fired up and we've got that first spark or that first score, that first big play in a game, I feel like our team picks up momentum very fast, and then we just keep rolling. It's hard to stop us.
How about the offense the coach runs? It's kind of 1930s, but it's so damn effective. How do you like playing on that? Obviously, I'm guessing growing up, you're hearing all about the spread offenses and things like that, and he rolls out this steamroller.
The cloud of dust.
This offense in a phone booth. Yeah. What did you think about that, and how do you like it?
I mean, honestly, Coach O, he does whatever's most effective. He does whatever will put points up on the board and whatever will win us games. And that game, since our linemen were just dominating, that was our best formation that game. So we just stuck in it, let the line do the work, and we just grinded out our yards, and then eventually got into the end zone.
Yeah. So next week, Westford Academy's in the house. You want to get some of the fans out to that game. What are you going to do to try to get a lot of home fans there? This is a big game for you guys. 1-2 to 2-1 is a big jump for the league. What's the goal next week to get those stadium seats packed?
Well, the first thing was making sure that we wanted to make sure everyone knew that it wasn't going to be like last year, and we did that last night with a pretty big win. So now our fans know. I feel like they're like, wow, this team is special. They can actually do something. And then they'll come support us. And when we have our home crowd going, it just juices all of us up, and we're just ready to roll.
David, talk a little. Hector mentioned just in terms of turning the atmosphere around. Talk a little bit just about the senior leadership on this team and how you guys are getting this young crowd into just buying into, we're ready to turn this around.
Well, especially after the first loss to St. John's, all of the seniors, we realized that's one game in the books. We only have 10 more of these games left, and there's no way we want to go out like that. So the seniors all, I feel like, put their foot in the dirt, every single one of them, and demanded more of the whole team, which made the younger kids at practice. Our scout team was performing way better, which just made us better, and we're just rolling as a team right now.
David, I'm obsessed with gear and uniform, so I have to know, white helmets or gold helmets for you? What do you like?
I'm going to say the white. I really do like the white helmets.
Mm-hmm. Let's be honest, and I'm a Haverhill guy. There's not much you can do with brown and gold. I know, I tried, coming up in the youth ranks, trying to immerse brown and gold. There's not much you can do, but I like the white helmets too, big guy. I really do.
Yeah, I do too, and I feel like all the coaches do and all the players do too.
Awesome.
We look a little better.
David, you looking at any schools yet? I know it's early in the school year, but you looking ahead at all yet?
No, not really. I'm just taking it day by day.
Tell us just a little bit. You sat out this with the injury against St. John's. We were talking about this before the show, just in terms of seeing some veterans come back. Seeing Jordan Perdomo come back from Methuen last night. Travis Manick come back to the sidelines from Methuen. Are you able to just in the moment truly appreciate just how awesome being on the field, and especially as the games wind down here and your last season, are you able to really take that in?
Yeah, definitely, because the first game I was actually up in the booth too, so I wasn't even on the sideline with my team, so it's that really made me just think wow, I only have 10 of these left. It's I can't take it for granted. So when you're playing, you're in the zone, but when you're on the sideline and the game's winded down, you're like, wow, I don't have too many of these left, and you just don't want to take it for granted.
That's awesome perspective, and just good luck the rest of the way, except maybe against one team I won't bring up, but it's awesome that you guys got your first win of the year, and I think you're poised to be ready to go against Westford Academy.
All right, David, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you for having me.
Right,
huge appreciation. That's David Carrero from Haverhill. 87 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 tackles on defense last night. Definitely one of our star performers for the week, and huge shout out to the folks at Haverhill, and I guess Coach Tim O'Connor.
Yeah, no, look, Tim's behind us.
Helping making him available.
Tim's behind us.
Yeah.
He's with us. He was busy today, and it was a little bit tough for him to get things going. And so, but man,
we can't have a repeat guest.
No, but I'm saying, he's doing a couple of things today. But when I asked for play, he stopped what he was doing. So we definitely do appreciate that, and it's good. It's good to see Haverhill get on the board here. I think they can factor in this league. So
absolutely, they took their bumps last year, but they were very young and in every position. So they're definitely.
You saw some talent spurts from them last year, though, for sure.
They're probably one of the more experienced teams of kids that took some lumps last year.
And I obviously laugh about Tim's offense, but it's so unique and so tough for teams to deal with because of that. They always going forward, always falling forward, always picking up yards and putting teams on the back pedal. It's very unique.
Everything old is new again sometimes. So now he's going to be innovative in a couple of years.
Yeah, no, probably, right? So.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. We've got one more guest. We're gonna let Bill head out. Bill's got an event to get to. We'll wrap it up with one more guest. Jay Connolly, been extremely patient. We're gonna get him on the show next. So all of you Tewksbury folks, Mary, Donna, Jay's your boy's coming up next here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance.
Great game last night, Jay. Awesome.
Everyone is cashing in on social media, and all marketing roads lead through social media. If you want to make a splash here in the Merrimack Valley, you need to tap in. This is where the new CEM podcast studios come in. Of course, you can spend your time, energy, and money learning how to wrangle technology to make a podcast instead of running your business. Or you can invest in telling everyone in the Merrimack Valley, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, the Seacoast, or everywhere in the world about your great business, product, service, or yourself. The CEM Podcast Studio is a local audio and video studio dedicated to the craft of podcasts. Their studios feature state-of-the-art recording and mixing equipment designed specifically to produce the best audio and video podcast. Best of all you need to worry about is your show, your business, and your brand. We do the rest. Call 978-686-9966. That's 978-686-9966 to schedule a no-obligation tour of the CEM facilities and meet with a podcast specialist. Or go to CEMpodcast.com to find out more about podcasting services. CEMpodcast.com, your window to the world.
I love talking about my man, Val Davila. It's a dream to own your own business, and Val and Susan Davila made that a reality in February 2013. They started with just 2 insurance carriers, but now Right in Place Insurance for Progressive, Safeco, Pilgrim, Plymouth Rock, and Mapfre, just to name a few. Need auto insurance, renters, commercial, or home? Davila and DeFusco prides itself in having lifelong roots in the Merrimack Valley. Put their experience to work for you. Visit them at 225 Broadway or call 978-241-7950 for a free quote, or visit them online at daviladefusco.com. Back here on MVC Gridiron Weekly in overtime at this point, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. He has been extremely patient, much like he is in the pocket for Tewksbury. We've got quarterback Jay Conley on the line with us. Jay, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Fantastic. So, listen, you followed chain of command. You tried dialing in after your coach. Your coach was had a little bit to do on the honeydew list this morning. But we really appreciate you coming on. Huge night for you guys last night. 31-30 win over Methuen. I got to imagine for you, you're kind of getting used to breaking some Methuen hearts at this point.
Yeah, Metheuen's a great team. It's always a huge game playing them, especially with Tommy Ryan over there. I know him pretty well. Yeah,
I mean, you've probably known him back since you got into football in grade school, right?
Yeah. He coached my little brother, too.
Oh, no kidding. Okay, so tell us just in terms of how that game played out for you last night. How, you guys made a couple of comebacks, twice in that game, and just didn't let the pressure of the home crowd get to you. Tell us a little bit in terms of what you saw in terms of how that game developed for you.
Yeah, Metheuen's a great team. They played great. They came out fast. I think our guys played a very tough game. I'm proud of all of them for not packing it in. Down 10 points. It's something that they haven't faced yet, so they did a great job.
So, Jay, just from talking to you now, you sound like a soft-spoken kind of guy. You guys are chasing 2 scores late in the second half there. How do you get your guys motivated? As the quarterback, you have to lead. Are you a screamer? Are you a let's go, a quiet kind of a leader? What are you doing there in the third and fourth quarters to get your team back on top of things?
Yeah, I'd say I'm a lead by example type of guy. I mean, we have a lot of leaders, a lot of good leaders on our team, and we know how to get the team focused.
Still, that said, how do you control the huddle? Is it definitely your huddle, or when you guys gather? I don't even know if teams huddle anymore, to tell the truth. But I mean, are you definitely the man in charge?
Yeah, I'd say with the most experience, guys really look to me in tough situations like that. You gotta be the leader.
230 yards, 3 passing TDs. Definitely led on a couple of key drives. Some gigantic right on the dot throws deep. Jay, just tell us a little bit. I mean, we've talked Tewksbury, a small community, very close knit. You guys have played together forever. You were telling me last night you and Shane have played together since 5th grade. I got to imagine that's the deal with a lot of you guys. So just to see, for this to culminate this year for you, how does that feel being on the field with these guys you've played together since you first got into football?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. The past couple of years I've played with guys I knew, but I grew up with these guys, and we have a bond that's not like any other one.
Hey, how important was week one for you individually? I mean, to have that big breakout game, to know you guys can do it, to beat Lawrence like that. How important was that confidence-wise for you?
Yeah, that was huge. I mean, we got a lot of new young guys, a lot of inexperienced guys, so to get a good win against that Lawrence team, that was a great confidence booster.
Tell us a little bit just in terms of how that field goal set up for you, and just to see Tyler knock it through.
Yeah, Tyler, I'm so proud of him. He played a great game, kicking and defense. I was shocked to kick the field goal, but
At first, when you guys came on, you guys were kind of it almost looked like you're hiding it at first. We were wondering on the sideline if you were going for it on fourth down, and then you line up for the field goal. They call the offside. He missed it on the first one, and then they call the offside. You get another shot at it, and then pandemonium as he hit that.
That was crazy.
I mean, what's it like for you in that situation? Just as Hector mentioned, big win first week against Lawrence, but a huge rivalry between two communities that have a lot of cross pollination, a lot of things in common. Just how are you feeling watching that going through the goalposts on the road in front of the Methuen crowd? Probably a lot of folks you know already. Just from I know you guys are always rooting for other teams, and Methuen and Tewksbury have a lot in common on other teams, especially the girls hockey team. I mean, what's that like as you're watching that go through the goalposts?
That was a great feeling. I mean, we fought hard. We fought hard to get back in it, and it was all up to him. I trusted him. He's been practicing. He's seen kicking before practice every day. He's put the work in, so I trusted him.
So you see him in practice every day. What's his range? Is 32 stretching it? Is that just about?
I think I've seen him hit a 40-yarder in practice.
Okay, so he's done it before, obviously.
Yeah, he practices it.
All right, so you got this win under your belt. You got Boston College on the road next week. What do you do this weekend to just chill out, kind of reset the brain a little bit? Are you playing video games? Are you watching some college football? What are you doing this weekend to just kind of reset yourself?
Yeah, I'm definitely watching college football. I'm watching the film, watching NFL, getting ready, just resting. I'm assuming the Patriots are your team on NFL, but who's your college team other than BC? I mean, who are you looking forward to watching? I like Clemson.
Yo, there you go, brother. There you go. I'm a Clemson guy too. I came up here from South Carolina, so I had to pick a team down there, and it was always Clemson long before Dabo and these guys got good, but. You gotta like what you're seeing from Clemson so far.
Yeah, I love watching them.
One more question from me, Jay, and that's all I got for you. I happen to notice that the guy who the number one receiver has the same last name as the guy who the coach is over there at Tewksbury. Any extra pressure on you to get the ball to him to make sure the coach Elwood is a happy man at the end of the day, or has it always been just find the open guy?
No, I have a connection with all my receivers. We're all on the same page, and Shane is just a great athlete. He makes great plays. He played a great game.
Huge congratulations to you, Jay, and really appreciate you being patient and still being willing to come on the show. We really wanted to get you on. You had a huge 11 for 26, 230 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and just picked them apart last night, and was just so impressive to watch a guy go into a hostile environment like that and just own the field. So congratulations on that, and continued success here throughout the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Jay, keep it up. Go get him.
Thank you.
All right.
Great job there from Jay. As you said, Hector, soft-spoken guy, but not soft with that arm at all.
No, look, he's legit, the real deal here. As you look around the valley, he's one of those guys that he might, he learned under fire last year, and now he's ready to go. Look, a weapon, total weapon. And he did spread the ball around a little bit. He had, I don't think we mentioned one of his other receivers. Did Johnny Kelly have a big day?
Johnny Kelly had a great day. More on the ground. 7 carries, 76 yards, 15-yard touchdown run. But I mean, the run set up the pass. Kelly was still. I mean, he just. It was impressive from both sides. It was impressive to see. It was impressive to see Bryant pick Tewksbury apart. Connolly just own the field and own those precious situations.
Hey, big props to both Tewksbury and Methuen this week. We needed them with we needed them with a couple of games being postponed and moved. We needed them to give us something to talk about, and man, they made us run long because of it, Tim.
And I mean, just and the atmosphere, the community needed that, and even the Methuen folks. I saw Eddie McKinnon chime in here, and just seeing the folks at Al's. I mean, that's. You don't want to know, but I mean, gosh, that was a great game. Yeah, you can't win them all, but I mean, I think the Methuen folks walked away from that feeling really excited about the rest of the season, and obviously Tewksbury, a big road win for them. Hey, let's just talk about some star performers real quick. We already talked about Shane Elward, 5 catches, 170 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. Jay, 230, 3 touchdowns. John Kelly, as I just mentioned, 7 carries, 76 yards, rushing touchdown. Tyler Keogh, he is your legend in Tewksbury.
The Hector Longo field goal kicker of the week, Tyler Keogh.
No doubt.
Picking up after Seamus Florio from last week.
Yes. The Bigfoot of the week. Connor Bryant, 10 of 19, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, huge rushing touchdown from Methuen. Ricky Brutus, 2 catches, 57 yards, a receiving touchdown. Just one of the most gorgeous screen passes that turned into a 34-yard touchdown. Just insane. Isaac Frederic, another great game from Methuen, 5 catches, 80 yards. We talked about Carrero, 87 yards, 3 touchdowns. We mentioned Joe Santoro, offensive line, but that was his first career interception. Took the ball, just made a perfect play. Took the ball down the 1-yard line to set up a score for them. Haverhill offensive line, Haverhill defense, just dominant, as you heard David Carrero talk about. Chris Rabias at Chelmsford, 118 yards passing in the loss, and A.J. Caginelli at Central Catholic, a 32-yard rushing touchdown in that loss to Prep. But, only 3 games in terms of stars to talk about. Let's just take a quick look. We've mentioned it already. What are the games in Week 3 that really jump off the schedule for you, Hector?
Well, obviously the Central North Andover game is a huge battle. Hopefully that is pieced together. The people in North Andover get their regular normalcy back in their lives, because that will be a very big game. If you elsewhere you look around, you got Lawrence and Andover supposed to be playing. We'll see about that.
Chelmsford at Drake, it's a big small division.
Right. That's an intra-division game, so that has a lot on the line. And Methuen Lowell on Friday night, I'm dying to see what Lowell does offensively. Coming off the way they put up big points in Week 1.
Absolutely.
That trip to BC High, though, that Tewksbury's taken, I don't envy that one bit, going down to Boston on Friday night, going onto the south side of Boston to play BC High. That is a tough trip. And
they're going to have to put it in perspective.
And right? the opponent waiting there is a very, very good D1 opponent. So.
They're going to have to put that in perspective in terms of the talent that BC has, and win or loss, take that as a learn. Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like it's not an easy trip. I've been down there with Andover before, a couple times covering games down there, seeing them play. It's a tough place to play. And they're always good. So.
We're trying to get around the MVC as much as we can. We hit Haverhill, we hit Tewksbury, we hit Central Catholic today. we want to feature your team, folks. Just let us know. Let us know on Facebook, on Instagram that you want to hear from your team. We will get around the MVC. That's what we're here for. We will get around and talk to the game makers and the coaches, the players, and give as many shout outs to the unsung heroes as we can as well. That is it for this week in a little overtime situation for MVC Gridiron Weekly. Want to thank all our guests, Jay Conley, David Carrero, Brian Elwood, and Chuck Adamopoulos. Huge lineup of guests this week. Great job by you as always.
Awesome. And can I thank Jen Hamilton, because I've known her since I was chasing her in high school, and I would like to thank her for coming aboard. So I did want to throw that one out there. She's a great person.
No kidding.
Yes, absolutely.
So another thing we learned that we didn't know today.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
He drops that right at the end.
Just letting you know.
Seriously, like that's the lead, man. Come on, buried the lead. We'll talk more about the Jen Hamilton Hector Longo connection next week.
There was no connection because she knew who I was. So that's it. She has good taste. So.
All right, for all those guests we mentioned. Another huge week in MVC for Lou Blasi behind the glass, Tim Wood, Bill Bryant, Hector Longo, and you. Catch us on demand throughout the week, and we will see you next Saturday. 10 a.m. is the new start time, the start time for the rest of the season. We'll talk to you, see you next week on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by the Villa and DeFusco Insurance.